Hello, my astrology friends and family. This is Lada from AstroLada.com with the January 2023 video horoscopes for each of the 12 signs. I'm using tropical zodiac, and as always, I'm doing first a summary of the whole month collectively, and then we're looking at each of the 12 signs, which will be timestamped below. You can just scroll to your sign, but I always recommend you to listen to the first part as well to see the general influences. And we start the year with two retrograde planets, Mercury and Mars, but by the middle of the month, they will both turn direct. So we're going to have, when planets change direction, this is when some of the most important events happen, because a planet that is changing direction has like 5 times its power and strength. And of course, these powerful events will be happening in the sign of Capricorn, where Mercury is turning direct around the 19th, 18th of January. And on the 12th of January, Mars is turning direct in Gemini. And you see already Mars has been retrograde in Gemini since the end of October. And a lot of very powerful corrections are happening in the social media, just like we predicted, like I made the video about Mars going retrograde, that something big will be happening with social media, and it continues to almost the month of, to the middle of January 2023. You see that there was a lot of revelations, and Twitter changed ownership, and a lot of retrograde Mars wants to correct past mistakes. Like every retrograde planet, it's about correction and correcting injustices or mistakes. So a lot of information is coming out about censorship. A lot of accounts that was censored were uncensored during this Mars retrograde. It's kind of some kind of small changes and corrections of past mistakes that Mars corrects, possibly in your personal life, as a lot of things are getting corrected. But Mars will be, let me just share my screen with you. All right, there we go. Mars will be retrograde and actually stationary for almost the whole month of January on a very special place in the sky. Let me share it with you. Oops. There you go. Here you see Mars, and this is the day it turns direct, but the whole month it pretty much stays in this situation. It stays in this part of the sky, which is aligned with the star Aldebaran. It is considered possibly the most powerful star in the sky, the eye of the bull, and very close also to the Pleiades. But Aldebaran is the star of Archangel Michael, and it's considered a very beneficial star. It's considered the light forces, And while Mars is there, aligned with Aldebaran, acting through the powers of Archangel Michael or the light forces, it's exactly opposite Antares, which is in the constellation of the Scorpion. And Antares is the heart of the Scorpion, and it has connotations of a bit more difficult, challenging, let's say, more malevolent energy. So it's almost like this massive fight that will be happening in the sky between good and evil. I mean, from a higher perspective, everything is relative, but still on Earth there is good and evil. And it seems, because Mars will be aligned with the powerful star Aldebaran, that the good is winning, that the good is having some wins in this battle that is never ending between good and evil, because Mars is aligned with the good star, opposing the more difficult, the more, let's say, the heart of the Scorpion. So hopefully you'll see this not only in the world, where the good is winning some battles, some pivotal battles in January, but also in your personal life. We'll speak about the 12 signs where you can see this battle, winning of this battle, and overcoming difficult influences, basically. And when Mars turns retrograde direct, this is when a lot of problems will start getting resolved in your life, especially in that area of your life, especially if you've been having some situation that's been bugging you, irritating you, stressing you for the last 3 months. You'll start seeing resolution and solving of those issues. On another level, of course, Mars Gemini is a sign of information, and Mars retrograde there has been digging out a lot of hidden information. I mean, even a news came that the CIA was actually involved in the killing of JFK. These are incredible news that are coming about the censorship that's been happening. And so you see a lot of things from the past are being revealed as information, a lot of hidden information. Mars dug it out and put it out there for us collectively. Then look at where Jupiter is. Jupiter is, if you can see here, we're talking about constellations now. It's in the first 5 degrees of Aries, which means that the fire signs, Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo will have a great time in January, but the first 5-6 degrees, the first 6, okay, up to 7 degrees, if you're from 0 till 7 degrees, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, fantastic time for you with opportunities, with support from the universe. But if you look at the sky, Jupiter is situated right at the tail of the monster Cetus. Here is the monster here. And that's a time where Jupiter illuminates. Jupiter heals, and the Cetus is a monster under the water. It's connected very much with our subconscious weaknesses and vices and our subconscious inner monsters. And in the external world, it's this hidden monsters, you know, of course, there is always such kind of underwater monsters. And Jupiter illuminates and puts light there. And Jupiter in the tropical sign of Aries is a very noble warrior. So again, there is an indication here that the light will be winning. The light of Jupiter will be illuminating the underworld. The darkness will be illuminating and revealing truths, hidden truths that were till now. And because also the ruler of Jupiter is Mars. Remember, Jupiter is in Aries, Mars is in Gemini. So a lot of this winning of the light forces will come through information, through news, through information, past information that is dug out and that is revealed to us in some way. So interesting times. Just a second, let me share something else with you. Here it is, the calendar. Anyone can order it. The 2023 calendar. It's interactive, 118 pages, and you can read what's going to happen day by day. And the other next important event is the full moon in Cancer on the 6th, approximately the 6th of January. And here, if you click, it tells what it is. This full moon in Cancer is quite positive. It's trine Uranus, and it's going to be the next 2 weeks after that. It means there'll be some completion. And because it's with retrograde Mercury, it's opposite this full moon, it can be focused on important discussions and conversations about something that is unfinished, on something that you've already begun, about the past, about completing that work that you have already started, or even completing some educational projects for some of you, putting final touches on such matters. And of course, some important information, it is Mercury, from the past can be illuminated now. And if you're finishing something up, and if there's been some problem, because Mercury retrograde periods are, you know, sometimes there are problems. Mercury is part of this full moon. That will be because Uranus is making a trine, Uranus is fastness speed, you would very quickly be able to start solving these problems. You find a missing piece of information or a document, or you know, something that helps you complete and really wrap up those things in a positive way. And the other big event that is happening, is the other full moon, the new moon, which is on the 21st, new moon in Aquarius. That one will be quite powerful. Just a second. Yes, we can click there, but this new moon in Aquarius is about new beginnings, as always with new moons, but this one will be happening exactly with Pluto. Pluto, the sun, and the moon will be all together at the very first degree of Aquarius, and Pluto at the very last degrees of Capricorn. So this new moon will be felt very strongly by later born Capricorns after 25 degrees and early born Aquarius from 0 to 5 degrees in Aquarius, their sun, moon, or ascendant. But these new developments for everyone will be more cathartic and crisis prone and transformational, or psychologically very healing as well, and very intense, because Pluto is there, something like a crisis, like an awareness that pushes you into new action. Collectively, the mood can be a bit belligerent, the protest, because it's in the sign of Aquarius. It is a sign of social activity, and there can be some extreme actions that can happen over the following months, like protests and so on. Already Mars retrograde in Gemini is stirring the rebellious spirit of people, because it's in Gemini. It's a human sign. It's a sign about social unrest, and we're seeing in Brazil millions of people are protesting all over the world. There are pockets where people in Europe, a lot of people have been protesting as well. So this is there, but this new moon in Aquarius can take it to another level. But the good thing with this new moon is that actually Jupiter is making a sextile and Mars is making a trine. So whatever new beginnings are happening in the world and in your life in particular, you'll find the right resources, help, and you'd act on it. With Mars moving direct already in a positive way, you'd without blocked doors, so to speak. Doors will open for you to start those new beginnings much faster than other times, but very transformational new moon. Something that changes you psychologically on a deep level, like a deep, profound realization you have, or some crisis, because Pluto can create crisis that triggers you into action, but you receive a lot of support from Mars, from Jupiter trines and sextiles to this new moon, into whatever actions you're starting, they'll be for good. And around that time, Mercury is also becoming visible and direct. So after the 20th, 21st, with the full moon, with the new moon in Aquarius, and Mercury becomes visible and direct at the same time, becomes a very powerful and positive Mercury. So after the 20th, 21st, after the new moon, you know, do anything mercurial, you'll be very successful with it. Publish an article, write a book, or bring out a product on the market, do an advertisement or a sale of some sort, any kind of trips, anything on social media, on TV, on media of any sorts, any transactions or important business meeting and communications, anything written or spoken, or important meetings and reports that you have to do, or any important documents you have to file and post, or if you want to buy computers, electronics, or organize some trip of some sort. These are all mercurial things. Amazing time from 19, when Mercury starts turning direct and becomes visible. And if it's something new you will be starting, wait for the new moon as well. So after the 21st of January onwards. So there you go. I think a lot of good news. Mercury turning direct, Mars turning direct, a lot of complicated situations or stuck situations of some sort. They might first escalate to the middle of the month, and then they'll turn around and get resolved, hopefully for best. All right, so now let's start with the 12 signs one by one. Aries, sun, moon, or rising. Jupiter is already in your sign. You are blessed and you're protected till the end of May 2023 almost. No matter what you do, even if you're being irresponsible and silly, somehow the universe has its wings over you. And you're allowed even to make mistakes and you're still protected. But especially in January, the first 6 degrees, Aries will feel it the most. So if you're born from 0 to 6, 7 degrees almost in Aries, great opportunities are coming to you. These are the March-born Aries, for example. Some renewal, some new inspiration, healing of some sort as well, or wealth, opportunity, or abundance. Whatever comes your way, it's positive. It's a gift from the universe. It's a good karma coming back to you in some way. Undertaking anything new, again, really good. in from January, especially after the middle of January, when both Mars turns direct, because Mars is your planet, and that's a good sign that Mars is turning direct for you. If there was some complications in third house matters, with correspondence, with emails, with administrative tasks, with documents, with papers, those will start getting resolved from the middle of with media from the middle of the month. I'm an Aries, and since Mars turned retrograde, my channel was demonetized because that, of course, third house is media, because I need to receive a letter from YouTube with certain pin, but it's not it's not coming. It's been delayed for 2-3 months now, so I'm hoping Mars turns direct in our third house, so any such kind of problems, delays, blockages will start being resolved. So if you've been having some complications and problems with siblings, with relatives, some kind of more tense power struggles with those workmates, teammates, anyone in your immediate environments, this will starts getting resolved, and the tense situation will start dissolving. But there is a kind of a sense of an escalation of those issues to around the middle of the month, and then it starts de-escalating. Plus, as I said, Mars is aligned with a very beneficial star, Aldebaran, of the light forces. So it's going to be for good, anything to do with the third house activities. Plus, you might feel yourself very empowered from the middle of the month already, even a bit earlier than that, because your star, your planet, Mars, is aligning with the most powerful beneficial star, Aldebaran, of the good forces of wealth, of abundance. And there might be some battle that you're leading because Mars is stationary, changing direction in the middle of the month, but it seems like you're gonna win it. And it seems that you make the right choices out of the right state of mind. Also, if there were some complications with transportation, with travel, this is third house again, with computers, with technology of any sort, this will start getting resolved for you when Mars turns direct. Then Mercury turns direct around the 19th, 18th, 19th of the month in your 10th house. So maybe till around that time, you might be editing, correcting something, some already started career project in your 10th house. There might be certain complications with authority figures, with institutions, with people in power, something that you need to go back, return, do it, put more effort into it, or some important conversations that you have, or some important reconsiderations about your career, the direction in your life that it's taking, the direction of your professional as well career, or just finishing some old projects that you've already started, editing and correcting them. But if there are any delays or complications connected to your career, connected to work, connected to bosses, authority figures, institutions, they start getting resolved when Mercury turns direct around the 18th, 19th. And that can be some very important time for you. Those last 15 days of the month where you do something important with your career, some important project that you're developing, and Mercury becomes visible. So the birth of something positive in regards to your career, that they're in the 10th house. Then comes the full moon, the new moon. The new moon, you'd feel, well, actually first is the new moon. It's in your 4th house. It's on the 6th of January, bringing you back a little bit into the past. So the new moon on the 6th of January can indicate reconnecting with family, people you haven't seen for a while. And because it's retrograde with Mercury, there might be some important conversations and important developments about something that you wanted or you've been working on for a while now, connected to place of living, connected to property, connected to finding right place to live, or anything to do with family situation of some sort. But it's something that you're already aware of, something that's been in the working and in the making, that now escalates, come to light, and gets resolved. And very quickly it will happen, because Uranus is making a trine from sextile from Taurus. I don't have Uranus here, but so it will be very speedy resolutions connected to home, family, place of living. and emotional and ancestral, something ancestral information or something connected about your past or childhood. Then the full moon is on the 21st of January. Sorry, the new moon. The new moon is on the 21st of January, and it's with the sun, the moon, new beginnings, and Pluto at the very beginning of your 11th house. They can be something, new goals that appear for you, because the 11th house is goals, and they can be very transformational, very powerful. You can become powerfully fixated because Pluto, it's obsession, fixation, passion as well, into some new goal that is born, into some new big project. Or some of you might become a member of some group, for example, or member of some society, or member of some institution or group or organization, so to speak, more like, where it's very beneficial for you because Jupiter is making trine to this sextile to this full moon, new moon, to this new moon in your 11th house. So you can benefit by after the 20th of January by joining in certain groups, by bringing out a product of some sort to the public. The 11th house is the public. If you want to create some project about more gains, which is the 11th house, a project, new project about gains, about connecting to more people, new friends can appear in your life, or people of influence. Some powerful people can connect with you. It's Pluto after all. New moon, powerful, or people that can have transformational influence on you, people with a lot of power, so to speak, that can open some doors for you. Because of course, Jupiter is sextiling this new moon, and Mars is also trining it. So a lot of support to this new moon. So whatever, anything 11th housey, so starting a new goal project, long-term goals, new friendships, because if you're invited somewhere to participate with group of other people, if you're invited to go to some event with more people, do it because it has positive influence for you. And it's going to open some doors for you, even transform you in some way. And there can be, as I said, even opportunities for more gains with this new moon there as an idea or some big project that you decide to work on, and it will go smoothly and well. But it can be triggered by some crisis because Pluto is involved. It can start as some kind of a stressful event a little bit, but it turns out really positively after that because of all the other nice aspects to this new moon. Now, if you're Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising, the first full moon on the 6th of January is happening in your 3rd house. So there can be some important information that comes to you, Tauruses. And Mercury is part of it. It's opposite the full moon. And Mercury is retrograde. Maybe some missing piece of information that comes to you and that helps you, solve something. Maybe some important event, getting in touch with people from the past, colleagues, friends, relatives that you haven't seen this January, it is possible. Maybe some important developments and resolutions connected to writing, speaking, social media. But it's already, because it's a full moon, it's about something you've already been doing. It's about something that, or people that you already know, and Mercury retrograde is part of it. So it's something that's been in the working already that can escalate. You can receive good news about it, or something connected to travel, of course, because it's the 3rd, 9th house that the full moon activates for you. That comes into fruition around this time. Or if you've been working on some 3rd house projects, they can come to fruition and give results. Writing, speaking, social media, sales, business meetings of any sorts, learning some skill, learning or training of some sort as well. Then Mars is turning direct Taurus in your 2nd house on the 12th of January. So if there was some complications or extra expenses financially, if there was a more strained or kind of blocked financial situation for you in the last 3 months, Mars now is turning direct. It means that this January things escalate connected to finances and it changes. So if things have been going in a wrong way or in a somehow complicated, especially connected to your assets, valuables, possessions, and money, of course, and savings. There is a change and change of direction. It might have felt for some of you like a struggle and a battle, even battle of values, battle, financial battle for some of you, but it starts turning around and those complicated situations starts unraveling or untangling. But of course, while it is turning direction, the first 15 days, let's say, of the month, it can feel a little bit like it's intensifying, but then the resolution comes in such matters. Or if you've been having problems with your teeth or any kind of problems with eating, with food, or if you've been making some considerable changes in your eating, if you've made some big changes with your finances, budget, and so on, you're going to start seeing the positive results of that, and things will normalize when Mars turns direct, and you'll see the benefits of those changes, whether it's with your food or with your resources, with your eating habits that you've done. And it's not going to feel so uphill, upstream. It's going to start feeling more natural to you. Then the other big event is that Mercury is turning direct in your 9th house around the 18th, 19th of January, which means that till that time, some of you might be 9th house is about high education, revising something connected with old knowledge, coming back to old knowledge. Some of you might be going back to foreign countries or faraway places that you've been before. Some of you might be working on some project of learning, teaching, education, and re-examining your beliefs and re-examining your worldview. And if there was any complications connected or delays connected to papers about foreign visas, foreign travel, legalizing some matters, because 9th house is also all about legal matters. When Mercury starts turning direct, those things get straightened out. If there are some complications about higher education or about higher knowledge, or if you've been working on some project, editing, fixing something, when Mercury turns direct and becomes visible from the 19th, you can put it out to the public, or any complications there will be resolved. You can receive some important good news connected to anything 9th house, to pre-qualification, to higher knowledge, to foreign countries, to education of some sort, and to travel of some sort, and so on. And then comes the new moon in Aquarius. The shifts start, it's on the 21st, and it's going to affect you for the whole next month. So after the 21st of January, this moon gives the direction, this new moon gives the direction for the whole month ahead. And it is with Pluto. And new moons are about new beginnings. The sun and the moon join together, mother-father energy, but with Pluto, and it's in your 10th house. Especially the earlier born Tauruses, the April born Tauruses might feel this very strongly because it's in the earlier degrees. And but all Tauruses, it's about new beginnings in regards to your career. There's some kind of a renewal there, but it might be triggered by a crisis because Pluto plays along. Pluto is part of this conjunction. Some crisis that makes you begin something new in regards to your career. But you might be very passionate, focused, dedicated, even obsessive to some extent when it comes to this new project in regards to your career that you're beginning in the regards of the direction that you're going to. And there will be a lot of focus after that on career or worldly achievement. Some of you might get a new job, for example. Others can come into more promotion or a power of some sort. Others can decide to change the direction of their career in a big way. But of course, that will be for good, all for good, despite the Pluto energy. Pluto, almost like it has this crisis energy to you, but it also has profound transformation and change. And Jupiter is sextiling, and Mars is trying this new moon. So whatever changes you do on your beginnings there at the top of your chart, with the direction of your life, with your career, with your public image, they will be for good. And they will be long lasting because Pluto is part of it. Change that you don't go back after that. All right. So that's what I see for you guys. That's for Taurus. So a lot of good stuff, obviously. Then we go to Gemini. Gemini, you'll be relieved to hear that Mars will be turning direct in your sign. Actually, it's been retrograde since the end of October in the sign of Gemini. So some Geminis have had it quite rough. The patience has been stretched. They've been tested, they've been challenged. Mars has battered you a bit. And especially those Gemini that, let's say in the first 12 degrees can feel it very strongly in January, because Mars is turning direction around the 8th, 9th degree in Gemini, which means everyone from 5, 6 degrees of Gemini to around 11, 12, 13 degrees will feel this stationary Mars very powerful. Something very important happens. Usually very important developments happen when a planet is stationary in your sign around the degrees of your sun, moon, or ascendant. A huge change in direction, resolution of a battle, but first it might intensify. But it seems like you win this battle, or you triumph over the difficult circumstances, because Mars is aligned with Aldebaran, which is a star of success and triumph and wealth. And the light forces are helping you. But if you've been in some kind of, all your Geminis, in some kind of a very stressful situation or stuck situation, even when Mars was retrograde, or in a situation, even some of you might have had health issues sometimes, Mars can give you inflammations and what accidents and so on. Well, this starts changing from the 12th onwards. Little by little, Mars shifts direction, and you feel resolution of long-standing problems, and you'll see, or if you've been in some battle, it might be a legal battle, it might be in some kind of a competition, it might be in some kind of a locked up state of either competition or power struggle with another person, or this starts getting resolved. These problems start going away when Mars turns direct. They might escalate to the 12th, but then they change a different direction. They take a different direction. And those of you who've been doing productive changes while Mars was retrograde in your sign, sometimes people, Mars retrograde can make people change their lifestyle, make big changes, sometimes with career, sometimes with, because Mars rules your 6th house of work as well. Sometimes connected to even your whole social environment as a rule of the 11th house, or if you've been changing your health habits and sometimes with exercise and so on, Mars could have pushed you to do that. Then Mars turning direct indicates the end of the struggle, and it becomes very much more natural to you. It starts giving the results. You start seeing the results of all those constructive changes that you made. But the good news is that all this pressure and tense energy and influence of Mars, very testing one, that almost like it was like a military training for some of you, of patience, of training of strength of power, internal strength. Well, it's coming to a resolution. Whatever problems have been plaguing you or stressing you, they start getting untangled. So that's the good news for Gemini. Another event is that there is a new moon, full moon, in your 2nd house on the 6th of January. So for the next 2 weeks, there might be some kind of a focus on your finances as well. But it's a full moon, which is sextile Uranus. So for example, you can come into money. But it's something maybe that you've been working about, or you've been expecting, or you can come into something very valuable as a possession, very valuable and treasured, because the full moon is to see the results of something, to receive something. You might have some quite realization about finances or something valuable. And because Mercury retrograde is also opposing this full moon, there can be some matters concerning my money, your money, money that's owed to me, money coming in and going out, my values, your values, that you have to lead some important conversations about, or resolutions you have to take and decisions about that, or something from the past. Even can be money from the past coming to you, something valuable from the past coming to you. And then the other important event is that Mercury is turning direct in your 8th house. And by the way, Mercury will be invisible and retrograde to around the 19th of January. And you are ruled by Mercury, which means that, let's say, to around the 19th, you might feel a little bit off, you know, because your planet is invisible, moving retrograde. So it's kind of like you're not in your usual circumstances. You're, you know, maybe you're, and especially Mercury retrograde in your 8th house, you can be more in a hibernating stage, in a more hidden stage where you're more reserved, where you are till the middle of the month, where you're more withdrawn from the world, not so visible, when you're revising the past, thinking of the past, and especially dealing with matters about taxes that you have to fix or edit or put extra mental efforts on, because it's in the 8th house of taxes, mutual finances and resources, or even looking at some past traumas and thinking about things from the past, because the 8th house is where we bury the emotions of the past traumas, and even researching something, digging under the surface, working on something connected to psychology, astrology, the occult. And when Mercury starts turning direct, it also becomes visible. So suddenly you start coming more and more from the middle of the month into more and more power. You start feeling more and more like yourself. You can become visible after the, I mean, for some countries, Mercury will become visible from the middle of the month, from others a bit later, after the 19th. But in turning direct, you'd notice that a lot of like breaks or blockages are starting to get removed. Plus Mars turning direct around the 12th in your sign, Mercury within a week turning direct, it's you. So such a big release for Gemini. I mean, there's still a little bit of a push. It's not still easy till the middle of the month, but after that, everything starts becoming better. You can come out into the public eye again. Your health can improve as well. New opportunities, because Mercury becomes visible, is born again around the 19th. So the second part of the month, it's like you start improving, you start thriving, new opportunities appear for you, you feel more power within yourself. You find out some important private information and news as well. And if there was some complications in this 8th house, they get resolved with mutual finances, with taxes, with certain documents that you expect connected to inheritances, insurances, or finances of some sort. All of this will be, let's say, improved, fixed from the middle of the month onwards. And last but not least is the new moon in Aquarius in your 9th house on the 21st of January. So the next whole month after that, till the middle of February, this influence will be powerful for you. New beginnings connected to this 9th house, starting after the 21st of December. And this new moon is with Pluto, so it can be very transformational. And it can mean some new beginnings connected to knowledge, to learn something, to study, or to teach, some teaching project to start, or some project connected to some deep realizations of truths, a new worldview of a sort. It might be even a bit shocking because Pluto can be crisis prone, but it puts you into a new state of frame of mind, basically, because it's in your 9th house of higher knowledge, the higher mind. So kind of your worldview can be transformed during that time, your belief system in some sort. And there can be new beginnings about a travel of some sort. There can be a new beginnings about learning or teaching something, about new beginnings about foreign exchanges or something international, or to do with faraway places. Okay, so that's for Geminis. I think for you, it's been quite tough, and it's going to start getting better and better from the middle of the month. If you're Cancer sun, moon, or rising, There is a full moon in your sign, Cancers, on the 6th of January, especially those Cancers born in the middle. They're around 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 degrees. We'll feel it very strongly. And Mercury is opposited with the sun. So maybe some people from the past can appear. You can receive some important information from other people. The missing piece of information can come to you of some sort. Some important resolution of something missing, like a document or paper or piece of information. Plus, there's something that you started earlier. I don't know, might be months or even more before that start coming to a conclusion now, or you start seeing the results of your previous efforts, because full moon is about celebrating our achievements, or giving us the rewards of our previous actions. And of course, if the previous actions were silly or not constructive enough, you see those results, or whatever they are, and you become clear about what you have to shift and tweak. But you might receive some feedback from others in the 7th house, Mercury there, which might feel a little bit like criticism or like correction, but welcome this correction if it comes to you from another person. Mercury in Capricorn retrograde, opposing the full moon in your sign. It's about having maybe some very important conversations with others, serious conversations, and there might be some important feedback that you receive from others. Be open to it. And the full moon in your 1st house will allow you to be flexible and adaptable, to incorporate whatever criticism or whatever information you are given by your partner or business partner, or it might be just some other person in your life that you receive important information about or from, that impacts you directly and that puts you somehow in the spotlight. And you take some action, and this action requires you to be flexible. But for some of you, it can be celebrating of something that you've achieved and you're seeing the results of it. And it's going to come very fast, because Uranus is sextiling this full moon. So from the 11th house, there might be some social interactions that are positive and beneficial, even gainful for some of you. And it's very important to have a diplomatic approach with this Mercury retrograde in the 7th house, not to rush when you find out something, when you hear something, to research the information correctly and then act. But you can receive help and support from friends or people in better positions than you in some way, and fulfill even something that you started before, and you see the results of it the first 20 days of January. Then we have Mars turning direct for you in your 12th house. It's happening around the 12th of January. So there might be some of you, if you've been having some internal battle, fighting internal demons or inner vices, hidden vices, the battle will become easier after Mars turns direct. Maybe you would win it, even such battle, with your own inner demons, with your own psychological issues from the past and even past lifetimes. But it starts getting resolved when Mars turns direct. They're more psychological problems rather than external, because it's a 12th house, it's very private, it's hidden. So if you've been battling some addiction, or if you've been battling something that you kind of do hidden or privately, and that you beat yourself about, it starts maybe now, maybe when Mars turns direct, it's not going to be such a problem anymore. Or if you put the efforts, it becomes easier and easier for you. Or if you had some problems with sleeping, they'll start getting resolved, because the 12th house, the house of sleeping, and things will normalize. Sometimes people even have more nightmares, or they just can't sleep well while Mars is in the 12th house, or they're restless psychologically. And also, some of you might have had some very deep realizations psychologically about the past and so on, and Mars turning direct will make this process speed off and gets results better and better for psychological liberation. Also, it can indicate if there's some complications. 12th house is faraway countries, foreign places, connected to traveling there, or matters connected to such faraway places, or even animosities with people from faraway places. If you've been in some battle or whatever with people from different states or different countries and cultures, they can start getting resolved. Or sometimes even court cases can be the 12th house. It's the results of court cases. And when Mars starts turning direct there, it can be switch of the direction and things becoming more easier, so to speak. 12th house is also about expenses. If they've been more expenses, when Mars turns direct after the 12th, such complications start also being resolved. And last but not least, Mars in the 12th house can be hidden enemies. If you've been in some animosity situation with someone that you found out betrayed you or did something behind your back that created the power struggle, you unearthed some secrets that, and it's possible that it can still happen for you to unearth some secrets, but these secrets will be liberating. You might find out someone's been doing something behind your back or whatever, because Mars is with a very positive star, Aldebaran, is the star of truth, the star of victory, the star of the light forces. So something can come to the surface to be unearthed, which has a liberating influence on you, and then it gets resolved after Mars turns direct. And then we're going to have Mercury turning direct in your 7th house on the 19th and becoming visible. If there was some complications in relationships, some things from the past that can come up till the 19th to be, oh, you did this, or your partner, this has always been upsetting me, why are you doing this? Or you approaching your partner and bringing up things from the past to be discussed. Well, if there was any such complications, so even if you were some kind of renegotiating contracts or agreements, or who will be your clients, or who you're gonna have commitments to, and so on, Mercury retrograde in the 7th house always brings up such topics, but when it turns direct, such complications get resolved. And if you've made constructive changes to your relationships, they start moving forward with no problems and even better than before. And and sometimes Mercury retrograde in the 7th house can make you decide to end a relationship of some sort, of course. But when Mercury starts turning direct, and it also can mean that it can bring people from the past. With Mercury retrograde in the 7th house, you can connect with a lot of people from your past. They might be your relatives. Mercury rules the 3rd house, siblings that you reconnect with. Mercury, people that you haven't seen for a while, or exes even sometimes that you get news from or information, or you can reconnect with past clients or collaborators of some sort, or can finish something that you're doing with someone together. And then Mercury turns direct. And if there was any complications in communication, in writing and speaking, in taking this, or in complications in your relationships in particular, because it's in the 7th house, or difficulty in the life of your partner, like they were blocked or they were revising something about your life, well, it all starts going away and being resolved after that. Plus Mercury becomes visible around the same time on the 19th, 20th. So it's a great time if you want to approach people, make new friendships, to connect to more clients, to release anything, to reach out more audience, verbal, mental, spoken, anything with media, because Mercury rules media in the 7th house, to reach out to other sales, audience. It's a great time to do it after the 18th, 19th of January, sorry. And then there is the new moon on the 21st in your 8th house. It seems like your focus can move in taxes, 8th house, or for a month ahead, or it can move on anything connected to mutual finances and resources. You can come up with some new idea and plans how to receive more financing from others, or more money from your business, from your clients if you have such. or maybe the circumstances of the financial circumstances of your partner change, might be even dramatically because Pluto is involved, or you both starting as a couple or business partnership, some joint venture, or even having an idea for new investments in something, or stock markets or something, some important developments there with this new moon. And of course, Pluto is there. There can be crisis, there can be sudden change that is happening with such matters, other people's or mutual finances, resources, investments. There can be something important happening with inheritances, insurances, or taking a mortgage. If you want to take a mortgage, that can be, to apply around that time from the 20th of January onwards, because there will be some important developments there with so many planets in your 8th house. For some of you, it can mean interest in something more hidden, occult, learning something about astrology, starting a course or a class, or psychology or psychological therapy of some sort, or deep research of any sort, which is the 8th house. So there you go, Cancers. Interesting month. So the focus goes, there's focus on you a lot because of the full moon in Cancer, then on relationships because of many planets in the 7th house, and then it moves into the 8th house of intimacy, of mutual finances and resources, of sex as well. But it's also 8th house is crisis. Sometimes people are called to fix some crisis quickly when the 8th house is activated. Pregnancies, births, and deaths are all 8th house stuff. Just saying, someone might be, not your own death, but might be around you. So just saying that might become very present in your mind from the second part of the month, because all of the planets start to move there, and Pluto, and Saturn is there. Okay, but psychologically can be very transformative and very deep. If you're Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this month starts with a full moon in your 12th house on the 6th of January. What can I say? Maybe the intuition becomes very powerful around that time. You might have some very vivid dreams that can even give you answers about something from the past, because the moon is opposite retrograde Mercury. You can even get communication from someone in the invisible realms. So especially this will be very valid for moon in Leo, ascendant in Leo, but the sun as well. It's your 12th house is getting activated. Some insight, some download can happen. Listen to your intuition. It will be very strong the first 2 weeks of the month. Like you might, as I said, download information, receive something, but it's more like intuitively you will know. And also you can gain knowledge about something more spiritual, mystical of some sort. Another thing, the 12th house is foreign countries and foreign travel. That can be great with the full moon in your 12th house. I mean, if I was Leos, usually tend to have every year in December or January full moon in the 12th house. That would be when I would travel to foreign country. And this full moon is with sextile Uranus. There can be like a fast development of a travel or a trip, or again, Uranus is very intuitive planet. You can receive intuitive information about like flash answers about something. Or if you have a psychic reading, for example, or astrology reading, it can be very insightful because of those energies that are involved in this full moon. Also, the full moon is in the 12th house of endings and completions, and Mercury is making opposition from the 6th house. There can be something that you're working behind the scene to complete or to end, to fix, to edit in regards to your work as well, that starts coming to fruition, or you start seeing the results of it around that time. 12th house is also secrets. This new moon can reveal some secret that is not so much something from the past that happened, Mercury here involved, and Uranus, the sextile from Taurus, that can have liberating influence on you, or some kind of deep psychological realization that is liberating because of the Uranus influence there. And something about the past, even about past lifetimes, that you can have a deep psychological realization about. Then the other important thing is that Mars is turning direct. And Mars turning direct on the 12th in your 11th house. So there might be an escalation of sorts first of matters concerning friendships, groups of people, where you belong in social media, what groups, where you frequent, and possibly the time Mars was retrograde in the last 2-3 months, you have reorientation of your social interests, even some kind of change in your social environment. I'm talking about that, I'm laughing because I'm Leo moon, and many times my predictions from the moon are the most correct for myself. And that's what happened with Mars retrograde. I changed my whole social environment. It started, we just relocated. We live in 2 countries, but back and forth. But for a year and a half, I had my friends in Bulgaria and so on. The whole social environment, Mars retrograde in the 11th house, rethought it. Thankfully, I had no fights with friends or anything like that. But if you've had some kind of complicated situations with social interactions in your environment, might be colleagues, might be friends, overall, might be online, these power struggles will start getting resolved when Mars turns direct. Or the situation will normalize. If it was somehow unusual until then, almost stressful. Also, if you've been working on some long-term projects, because the 11th house is long-term projects, which is Mars retrograde, maybe you are editing it, fixing it, and maybe there were delays with such long-term projects, going slowly, going over and over things. When Mars starts turning direct, there'll be like an important turnaround of the situation. So things will start moving smoother. There's bigger projects or will start getting resolved, or they'll start moving faster. So it will pick up speed more towards February, March. So things will pick up for you there as well. And if things have been slow socially, they would also start picking up when Mars turns direct in the 11th house. Maybe some new friendships, or maybe some resolution of problematic situations. There also, if there have been some complications connected to your gains and earning, because the 11th house, if you have your own business or you work for someone, it's your salary. If it's your own business, it's the gains from it. Well, Mars retrograde there maybe make you reevaluate or change, or maybe put some blockages there. In my case, for so, because my channel is demonetized because I'm waiting, and that's gains. Of course, Mars retrograde in my 11th house lowered the gains because I'm waiting for a pin that's delayed, and it's taking months for the pin to arrive. I'm just giving you an example of my story, but for you it will be something else, of course, but within those interpretations. So if there was some blockage, or if you've been working behind the scenes, or if you've been working hard on changing somehow your gains or some long-term projects, and there was some delays or blockages, these will get resolved from the middle of the month. Then, then Mercury turns direct in your 6th house on the 19th and becomes visible there. So till then, maybe you're working behind the scenes again. It's very much behind the scenes energy here in the 6th house, like editing something, fixing something in regards to your work, and possibly even revising your health and health habits. And when Mercury starts turning direct, you start seeing the results of those changes. But while it's retrograde till the 20th, 19th, it's a unique chance for you to change something. Retrograde motions is to see things from an alternative point of view, to gain a different understanding in regards to your health, in regards to your habits, in regards to your work, maybe to go back over and finish work and put final touches to it, fix some things there. And when Mercury starts turning direct, things start going very much more smoothly at your work, with your health habits as well. And Mercury starts, seeing the results of the hard effort you put before that. And then there is a new moon with the sun, moon, of course, new moons are with the sun and moon, at the very beginning of Aquarius and with Pluto. Pluto is at the very end of Capricorn. It's in your 7th house, guys. So after the 20th onwards of January, for a month ahead till the middle of February, there'll be a big focus on your relationships. Maybe there'll be more interactions with people. Maybe you'll be more social. Plus, remember, Mars is already direct, allowing you to become more social, to connect with more people, to reach out more. 7th house is audience, 7th house is the public. Clients as well as the 7th house. The 11th house is also very business oriented, and Mars is making trine to the sun. So it's allowing you to become more outgoing, to become more social. They appear to be help from others that comes to you. But Pluto is part of this new moon. There can be some crisis that appears in relationships with others. It can be that someone presses your buttons and pushes you to start something new, but the instigator is another person there. The reason that you get triggered into action, or maybe your partner transforms and something new is happening in their life, something that might be even a bit surprising or intense, and that pushes you into action. And instead of trying to do things on your own, I would advise you from the middle of the month onwards and all of February, maybe try to collaborate. You can even meet some powerful people around the time Pluto is involved there, some powerful soul connections. Some of you can meet someone. I mean, there is a new moon in your 7th house every year around the same time approximately, but this one is special because Pluto is part of it. Plus, Venus will be also in your 7th house the whole month, so relationships are very important. And Saturn is in your 7th house. So there'll be like 4 or 5 planets in your 7th house at some point. That is, focus on the other. That means some important developments through partnerships, collaboration. Some of you might meet important people that change their life. And of course, Pluto being there, there might be a crisis in a relationship with someone, but this crisis leads to something good because this new moon is sextile Jupiter, trine Mars, all good aspects. And it can bring some new opportunities to you. But somehow it's triggered by a crisis to some of you. So there you go, Leos. Interesting month with a lot of good resolutions there. And don't forget that Jupiter is supporting already Leo till the end of May, almost till the middle of May. Jupiter is in another fire sign in Aries. You're luckier from now on, especially the first, I would say, 7 degrees. Will feel it very much. If you're from 0 to 7 degrees Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in Leo tropical sign, this month you're totally protected no matter what's happening. All right. If you're Virgo Sun, Moon, or Rising, there is a full moon in your 11th house on the 6th of January. It's a pretty nice full moon with opposition with Mercury retrograde. You might hear from friends or loves from the past because the 11th, 5th house is connected friends or loving or loved people. You might reconnect with your children if they're far away, or you might have some important conversations about giving and receiving love, about the romantic side of the relationship versus the social side of the relationship. And also because full moons are about fruition, seeing the results of something. Being in the 11th house, some of you can complete some project or see the results of some projects that you've started previously, that it's shaping up. You can see the fuller, bigger picture. Or if you've been working for more gains or of some sort, because 11th house is the house of gains, this full moon there can give you the results of your efforts. Whether you're self-employed or if you work for someone else, maybe a bonus of some sort. Or if you're self-employed, you can see what is it that you have to change to be more gainful, because the moon illuminates intuitively, gives answers to you. You see, it shines its light, intuitive light, and you realize how you have to adapt to be more gainful, for example, how you need to adapt to attract and to connect with the right people in your life, because it's a social house. But I think that there will be some social activities for you the first 2 weeks of the month with this full moon in the 11th house, in a gentle Cancer full moon, with Uranus sextiling from your 9th house, some exciting social connections, or even something exciting that's happening on social media or collectively that you get interested about society, some developments that affect you in a positive way. Then there is Mars turning direct. Oh, Mars is turning direct in your 10th house on the 12th approximately of January. Some of you Virgos have been quite tested with Mars squaring your sign for the last 2-3 months. Maybe your nerves were put, you know, maybe you were, especially in regards with authority figures or people in power, or because Mars has been squaring from the 10th house, or maybe problems with work, or maybe under pressure a lot at work, or maybe even deciding whether to change work or start, or something's been happening there. But you had a unique chance while Mars is retrograde to really up your game, to be more masterful, to put more efforts like a soldier in regards to some career project, in regards to change your reputation, to change the direction of your public reputation and career of some sort. But if you've been having some stressful situations regarding especially authority figures' career, or some delays and blockages connected to career, then it gets resolved when Mars turns direct. It gets more and more, the more it starts moving into your 10th house, or towards the end of January. In February, things pick up speed. And if you've been working very hard on some project, you start seeing the results of it when Mars starts moving direct. And the final results probably till March, April, when Mars fully exits this 11th house. But it becomes easier, not so stressful. It becomes somehow, if there was blockages, they get removed. Or if you've been in a power struggle with some authority figure, things start getting resolved. Plus, I just have to warn you, those Virgos that are, say, from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 degrees, even 5, 6, 7, 8 to 11, 12 degrees in Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, check what degrees your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant is. They're having it a bit more tough this month because Mars is stationary around 8, 9, 10 degrees all the month. So it's affecting all those degrees. So the biggest changes will happen for you. A big change in the direction connected to some complicated situation, but it's almost like it escalates and it starts de-escalating from the middle of the month after that. But till the first part of the month can really build up, and the pressure and the tension for those degrees can be quite powerful. So you have to be a bit more careful for accidents, for arguments, those degrees in particular that I mentioned, and for taking rash decisions. And by the way, Mercury is also turning direct, but as I said, all problems there to this house start slowly getting resolved with Mars turning directly. And the other planet that rules you, Mercury, is also starting to turn direct on the 19th. And it's becoming visible. So good news. Actually, till the 19th, you might feel that you don't have so much energy, that you're a bit invisible, that your efforts kind of are not noticed, or that you can't fully put everything you want of yourself out there, or that there's still some blockages. But the moment your planet both turns direct and becomes visible, you start coming into your power, and you start feeling again emboldened. You can come up in the public again eye, and especially you can have some very positive developments here when it's born into the 5th house, connected to children, to your romantic life, to creative projects of any sort. And if there was complications or delays in anything connected to romantic love life, to entertainment, having fun, or in regards to children or relationships with loved ones, and creative projects, they get resolved when Mercury starts moving direct. But this Mercury retrograde, actually, the whole December is supporting you because it's making trine to you. So maybe it will be good time the first 20 days to revisit. You might even revisit some old loves, for example, because Mercury retrograde in the 5th house. You can reconnect with some old loved people. You can reconnect with your children. You can reconnect. You can go visit some places you've been before that you really love, that you have a lot of fun in. You can pick up some old hobbies that you haven't done in a while. You can rethink how you have fun and think of better ways to have fun, more inventive ones. And then when Mercury starts moving direct, you proceed ahead as well. But if there were complications in your love life, they would also get sorted out after the 19th. And then there is the new moon on the 21st with the sun, moon, and Pluto in your 6th house. Doesn't make direct aspect to you, but it can renew your impetus in your work. Plus, remember that Mars is in another work house, in the 10th house, so any complications there or delays are removed, and there is like a new wave of excitement and passion that you put into work. For some of you, can be the appearance of a new job or a new work project. It might be preceded by some little crisis, because Pluto is part of this new moon. Pluto makes things feel like fated, and Pluto makes things feel intense and cathartic, or they're triggered by some crisis, but the final results are good. So if some new opportunities for work appear, for a work project, or for a new health routine as well, that you're very passionate, that Pluto is in extreme willpower. Pluto is willpower that they call it divine will, but if you involve this new moon in your 6th house, you can make some really powerful transformations to your health and to your working path, to your working environment, and to your daily habits. And there you go, Virgos. So a lot of good things. Mars starting to move direct in your 10th house. Mercury from the second part of the month also becoming very strong, so you start feeling strong as well and able to manifest. Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising. Well, Libra, don't forget the whole month until May, Jupiter will be in your 7th house. Important positive things overall will be happening those next 5-6 months in your love life, in your relationships. For example, your partner can start having very positive developments in their life, or upgrade, or if they were down, they can start feeling happy, or if you had problems in relationships with your partner, they can improve, or if you're single, you can meet someone, you can reach out more audience, become more famous. The 7th house is very much house connected to reaching out to others, to become more social. Good things can come to you from others. Partner, collaborate. Jupiter has your hand, your back. Plus, those Libras that are born the first 7 degrees of Libra in January, they can meet someone very important that's very beneficial for them. The later born Libras later on. So Jupiter protects you for 6 months, looking straight at you. Someone has your back, might be a literal person. And it's a good time to make contracts and agreements, or maybe wait for Mercury to turn direct, but whatever you make contracts, agreements, Jupiter is protecting you. The big things is that you have a full moon on the 6th of January in your 10th house, opposite Mercury. So there can be some of you that get recognized for something in their career the first 2 weeks of the month, 2-3 weeks, that are called to take on some more visible role, that are more in the public eye, or that complete some project, some work project, and that they're very they see the results of it. Or if they've been trying to do something in regards to their career, putting efforts, now they can see the results. So maybe you've been trying to find a job, or full moon in your 10th house with good aspects from Uranus, you finally get you hear back from someone. Mercury retrograde aspecting the full moon, you hear back from someone and you get the job, or you've been working on some project and you start seeing the complete result now of it. But there can be a bit of a push and pull, because the sun is opposite the moon. After all, what do you prioritize, career or home? And there might be the need, Mercury retrograde till the 20th of December is asking you for some important communications with family, some important decisions that you have to make, and maybe try and return back to something you wanted to do but you haven't done. Start doing it again. Get those things you haven't finished around the house done. Get organized and do those things. Mercury will help you. And also, my husband is Libra rising. He's meeting his family with Mercury retrograde. Hasn't seen them for 2 years almost. So he's Mercury retrograde in the 4th house to revisit family, to see family again. Of course, Mercury retrograde can bring some things from the past, like to talk about the past and so on with family. But also sometimes they can be like, if there is imbalance in the family environment, Mercury retrograde wants to fix it, wants you to be on more equal terms, more balanced terms. So sometimes the situation can escalate in communications or in relationships with family till the 20th, till the 19th. Just be a little bit more careful. But also Mercury retrograde can really consolidate the relationship with family, extended family, if one has a diplomatic approach, which you tend to do, or if there is the need for, if there is both sides are willing to open and communicate. Plus also you can do and fix things around the house, reorganize things with property, with place of living, research things if you want to buy or sell property around that time till Mercury is retrograde. And then when it starts turning direct, actually this is if you had any complications with selling or buying properties or anything to do around the house or with family, or if the situation was strained in your relationship with them, this will all start getting sorted out after the 20th of January, sorry guys. 19th, 18th onward, when Mercury turns direct. And if you've been building something, if there was some delays in regards to property building, you're going to start seeing it taking shape when it turns direct. Plus Mercury becomes visible around the same time, 18, 19. So you can also, around that time onwards after that, Mercury visible direct is very strong. So something good can come into your home, place, property, situation of living, and it can become much less stressful, more positive. It's funny enough that my husband's having Mercury retrograde in the 4th house, and we relocated and we're fixing up the house and looking for new properties, but it will crystallize and you'll receive the answers and things will fall into place with all such matters when Mercury turns direct and becomes visible. And before that, you're doing the research and so on. Well, Mercury is retrograde. And then there is the new moon, in your 5th house, Libras, and Venus is there as well. So from the last 10 days of the month and the first 20 days of February have very much 5th house focus on you, which is good times, baby, 5th house. Well, you need a little bit of that. Saturn has been in your 5th house for 2.5 years now. So maybe you're a little bit like dried out, like a dried out fig in regards to having fun and joy. It's not easy to really have as much fun, or maybe more structured, more temperate fun and joy. And now more planets will go there, Venus and Mercury later on, and the moon and the sun. Pluto is still in the 4th house, but still. So somehow there'll be a lot more focus on self-expression, on putting yourself in central position. There will be some important developments for self-affirmation, for your confidence, for self-expression, to be in the public eye, to be in the center stage role. So if you're, for example, if you're a performer of some sort, you can come up with a new performance or a new gig, or become more creative around that time, and you can download more information, and or you can have some brilliant idea. 5th house is not just creative, it's about getting great ideas that are your own, original, divinely inspired. It can be in any sphere of life, new idea. It can be for money, for whatever it is, but it's going to be maybe transformational because Pluto is part of it. And for some of you, it can even be romantic activation. Very powerful new moon with Pluto. You have a new moon in the 5th house every year. Okay. But this year is a bit different. First, because you have Jupiter in the 7th house already helping you if you're single to meet the right person. And then the 5th house of falling in love gets so powerfully activated by so many planets and a new moon with Pluto there. So there can be something fated here happening, about falling in love or pregnancies as well, or with children. Your 5th house is connected to having children, getting pregnant, or being in love. You know that our creative forces are most powerful when we're in love. That's why the 5th house rules creating children or having fun, because when you're in love, you're having so much fun. Everything seems amazing. Everything is like, I remember just going to the store when we were first in love was like an adventure, and you become so creative, inventive. So this energy doesn't necessarily mean you fall in love with someone. Not all Libras in the whole world in general fall in love, but it could mean that you fall in love a bit more with life, with the wonder of life, that you feel a bit more enlivened. And Pluto is part of the configuration. There can be something that kicks your butt through a crisis to appreciate life more, to be more grateful for life. So there we go, guys. So a lot of... Oh, did I speak about Mars going direct? If I did, excuse me, my brain is frying off now. Mars will also turn direct in your 9th house. So I missed that, sorry. And it's on the 12th of January that this happens. So if you had some complications there, this 9th house, if you had some complications in connection to foreign papers or documents, or if you had some stress in regards to any kind of legitimization, legalizing of something, it starts getting resolved when Mars turns direct. Sometimes even a legal battle might have been, when Mars starts turning direct, there can be maybe not the resolution of this legal case, but a change in the winds and things becoming easier or more positive. But Mars can also help you win some battle there, because it is on a very positive start. Plus, Mars turning direct, Mars rules your 7th house of relationships. So if there was some kind of stagnation in relationships, or complicated situation, or even power struggles because of opposing worldviews, because the rule of the 7th in the 9th is your belief system clashing or something, this starts getting resolved. Maybe some of you, while Mars was retrograde, returned or traveled to faraway places that they've been before. But if there was some delays on traveling, this gets resolved again. Or if you've been putting extra efforts to learn something, higher knowledge, or teach something, you'll see the results of it when Mars turns direct. It becomes easier, less stressful. Or maybe you've decided to pre-qualify, you rearrange, you question the direction of your career. So you decided, when Mars is retrograde, you decided that maybe I have to learn something new. And now Mars turns direct, maybe you'll be able to start learning something new there, that will help you pre-qualify in some way. Okay, so it's not, I think Mars retrograde day in the 9th house has not been too stressful for Libras. It's been sending trines to them. So it's kind of inspired action. But while it's retrograde, you don't feel to have as much warmth. Now it's going to turn direct from the 12th onwards, and you're going to start finding yourself that Mars is helping you a lot till April, almost like the half of January, February, March, 2.5 months, Mars will be still there and moving direct into your in a 9th house from you, which is lucky house. So your actions should be, and especially Mars also rules your relationships together in a relationship. So partnership, you can take inspired actions and move forward with more luck. All right, now Scorpio Sun, Moon, Rising. This month starts with a full moon in your 9th house. So for some of you, the first 2 weeks might be great to travel to a foreign country, for example. You can even revisit an old place that you've been before, because Mercury is retrograde from the 9th from the third house also of travel, exactly opposite your moon. You can get, they can be a focus on higher knowledge, learning, illumination of some truth, dealing with some moral issue, or seeing things from a higher perspective. Some of you might decide to learn something, or maybe you've already, something already you've been doing actually, if you've been working on some teaching project or learning project, you can start seeing the results of that. But mostly this full moon in the 9th house is really helpful, will improve your mood. You can feel more intuitive. You can realize some things from the past and realize why they're like that. It's the house of the higher mind. So it's like things, it's like the puzzles will make sense. Things will align and you'll be able to understand them better, why things are like that. It's like seeing things from a higher perspective, from a bird's view. And it's good emotionally, psychologically, also for good times and so on. But there might be some important conversations that you're called to do the first 20 days of the month with Mercury retrograde in your 3rd house. Some important conversations with others, maybe getting in touch with people from your past that you haven't seen, colleagues, friends, relatives, that you'll see now the end of December and the first 20 days of January. And by the way, this doesn't necessarily mean problems in your relationships or in your communications. It can be just ruminating over the past, or maybe connecting to people from the past to complete something, to pick up something you haven't finished. Maybe it's time for you to pick up and complete some documentations or papers or correspondence or some mental task or some report or some media or marketing project or report project that you haven't completed while Mercury is retrograde in your 9th house. Maybe to study and learn, to revise something from the past as well. Or maybe use your intellectual skills, communication skills, and your conversational skills to fix something. If you're working in a small group environment with people, you might have to redo things a few times, put extra efforts mentally. But when Mercury turns direct on the 19th, you'll see the results of all those things. And if there are any complications with anything connected to documents, to papers, anything connected to mail, anything connected to email, correspondence, or anything connected to transportations, social media or devices or internet connection or websites or connectivity of any sorts, when Mercury turns direct and becomes visible from the 19th of December, all those things will start getting sorted out. But the other important event is that Mars, your planet, is turning direct this month. Actually, it feels like it's stationary. It stays around 8-9 degrees the whole month, but on the 12th, it changes direction officially, but it's moving very slow. So you might find yourself that you're strongly concentrated on something this month, like almost obsessively focused. When the planet becomes stationary and you are Mars, you're being ruled by Mars, one of your planets, it's like you become heavier and more impactful and strongly concentrated. But sometimes it's even good that things stop so we can take in and make more of an impact on the environment. So you can really, one of the biggest changes tend to happen internally, and most impactful developments, internal and external, when a planet is stationary. And there is like a change of your perspective. Something is shifting within you that you'll become aware of. But also the winds of change are coming. And instead of moving backwards, you're going to start moving forwards from the middle of the month. If you felt stuck, or if you felt that you're not moving forward, or if you felt that there are some obstacles, they start slowly getting removed. And especially if you had some issues connected to this 8th house, which is mutual finances and resources, or power struggles with someone. You know, 8th house is definitely in intimacy. There can be power struggles in personal relationships, or power struggles about money, my money versus your money, or our money, or if there was some stressful developments on your mutual finances with a partner, or even your own finances only if you're single, your investments and so on, is also the 8th house. Those start getting resolved. But 8th house is one of the houses of the battle place in ancient astrology, and Mars there indicates that maybe you've been leading some battle And that battle kind of escalates when Mars starts turning direction, and then it starts de-escalating after the 12th onwards. But it's almost like you're asked for the last push there, and some kind of a stressful situation that requires the concentration of all your mental, physical energy. And usually, because it's 8th house, it might be connected to some power struggle. It might be connected to some private matter, some internal battle, sometimes psychological. Our inner demons are there in the 8th house as well, battling traumas. And but the Mars there can really make like a psychological breakthrough for you, like a breakthrough for some trauma, deep psychological realization when it changed direction about some situation in your life that it's that you've been stuck in for a while, so to speak. Also, if there were some complications or struggles connected to insurances, to inheritances, to taxes, so any stresses connected to that, when Mars starts turning direct again, those start de-escalating. But I believe that if there's some battle going, you're going to be winning, because Mars is you, and it's aligned with the star of victory and wealth, and the star, one of the best stars, Aldebaran, the whole January. It might be intense, might require mobilizing all your energy and power, but it's you're impactful, and you are Mars, so you can have the winning hand. Then the other big event is that Mercury, oh yeah, we spoke about Mercury turn direct. Then it's Mercury turns direct on the 19th. So first is Mars, then Mercury, and then it's the new moon in your 4th house. It's on the 21st. That something important can be happening for the next month after that in your family. It can be a focus for you. Like some of you might, and Pluto is there with this new moon. So there is a sense of fatedness. Pluto is very critical, fated planet. So like a big transformation in place of living, or for some of you, others might have some realizations about the family, some important changes happening within the dynamics of the family, some renewal of anything connected with home and family. Focus on those things. There might be some crisis situation though, connected to something connected to house, property, family relationships, that triggers those actions and this focus on those more personal life matters. But there'll be huge focus on this 4th house for you, starting from the second part of the month, especially after the 20th. The Sun, then Mercury will join, Venus, I don't have, Saturn will be there as well. All of those planets, quite a few planets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and Saturn as well will be there, and the moon for a little bit. So this 4th house of home, family will become kind of a dominant for you, place of living, and so on, emotional stability and happiness. Parenting, if you're a parent as well, something it will take your attention. Then some new developments important. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, January 2023. Well, the year starts good, Sagittarius, because Jupiter, the great benefic, will be protecting you till the middle of May. It's already in a sign, in another fire sign. And in January in particular, Sagittarians born in November will feel it more. The early born Sagittarius, so those who are the first 6-7 degrees, they'll have a full trine from Jupiter, good times, opportunities, increased confidence, increased energy levels, increased well-being overall. But usually just the first 7-8 degrees, 6-7 degrees, sorry, we'll feel it in January. But that's protection to know that till May, the middle of May, you have green light for many things. And good karma, Jupiter will be in your 5th house all those months, which means that the good karma that you have from this life, other past lifetimes, comes to you, and it can look like luck for you. Some of you might be even lucky to win at something, you know. Take it as you want, like lottery or whatever. And of course, your romantic love life, or just having more fun and being more in love with life. and liking yourself more overall and being more creative, full of ideas, you're going to start feeling it more and more, especially the early born Sagittarius. Otherwise, there is a full moon on the 6th of January in your 8th house. And it can, eighth house is about secrets, something coming to the surface, something that you dig out, something that you realize, and that can come very suddenly because it's with a trine from Uranus, but it kind of has a liberating influence, the secret that you find out, or secret information, and it might be connected to something of the past because Mercury retrograde is opposite this moon. Others might have some very deep realizations about themselves psychologically, very deep realizations about past life traumas or past traumas from this life that you've buried and that you can release. So it's very kind of healing full moon for you in a very psychological house. Also on the material level, the 8th house is about taxes, insurances, inheritances. There can be some such focus the first 2-3 weeks of the month and such things to resolve them, because full moons is about getting something done, completing it, resolving it, and seeing what has to be done about such matters. All right. Then on another, and it's intimacy as well. This full moon can help you feel more intimate, can help you have some more deeper spiritual experiences and deeper connection with another person as well, and remove blockages about intimacy in your life. Then the next big event is that Mars is turning direct. Mars has been putting pressure on a lot of Sagittarians in the last 2-3 months, and especially Mars in your 7th house. It's been retrograde since the end of October, and it has been opposing you. So that means some of you, if you've been having some complicated situation in a relationship, maybe some legal battle with someone, maybe some power struggle with another, maybe some competition with another, or maybe fighting with your partner, or your partner might have had more stressful times, or some kind of a blockage or some kind of a big change happening in their life. Well, when Mars starts turning direct on the 12th, so basically till the middle of the month, this might still escalate, but then it starts de-escalating such situations, and relationships can improve. There can be less fighting. It can become easier to deal with others, with clients, or and 7th house is any other people. It might be your clients, it might be your partners, it might be your business partners, that such kind of a stressful situation connected to others is getting resolved. But first, because Mars is stationary till the 12th, pretty much staying on the same degrees, it can feel like it is escalating, and then it starts de-escalating. And especially if you're Sagittarius that are around 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 degrees, you might feel this more stressful energy of Mars, this opposition, like someone is pressing your buttons, like someone is demanding from you too much, or that there is some kind of a fight with you, some opposition to you, some pressure to you from external sources. But again, that's the final push. And I would say from the middle of the month, you start feeling a release there, and difficult matters starts getting untangled. So great news for you, Sagittarius. Then we have Mercury also going direct, actually till the 20th, till the 18th, it's retrograde in your 2nd house. So you might be dealing with some financial matters while Mercury is retrograde. Maybe some omitted payments that you have to pay, maybe some documents or papers regarding assets, possessions, maybe you're rethinking where your investments will be, maybe you're rebudgeting something, maybe there's some expenses that appear till the 20th that you have to consider, or some payments that you have to make, or maybe some more money that has to come to you, or some valuable possession that comes back to you, Mercury retrograde, you know. And then when Mercury turns direct around the 18th, and becomes visible at the same time, Sagittarius will start seeing a positive forward movement. So if they made the necessary changes financially, the necessary arrangement, the necessary research, they can see the positives from those actions when Mercury turns direct, or if there was some complications in their financial situation, delay with money or payments or finances of some sort, or blockages, they start getting resolved. Plus Mercury gets born again, becomes visible in your second house. So after, you know, the 17, 18 onwards, the second part of the month, let's say, they can be the appearance of new circumstances connected to finances, connected to money for you, connected to new possibilities there, to develop something through your own skills and intelligence. So some kind of improved financial situation, especially the second part of the month. And then we have, lastly, the new moon. The new moon in your third house. The moon and the sun will be together next to Pluto very closely. Something new will be born from the 21st onwards till the middle of February. For some of you, it can be beginning of some new project connected to writing, to speaking, and something that you're very passionate about, because Pluto is involved there, to some very controversial topic, communication about such matters, research or study connected to some deeper topics, to some maybe more sensitive topics as well. Some of you might start a new writing project. Some of you might write an article or get inspired to do some course. Third house is all about learning or training or teaching others. So to start some new sales activity or new commercial project of some sort. Of course, third house is also siblings, relatives, teammates, workmates. There can be new circumstances involving such relationships, renewed focus there, a need for you to pay attention there. And because Pluto is part of this configuration, it can be accompanied by some kind of crisis in your communication, in your everyday exchanges with others on social media, or with relatives or people in your life, that you're required to kind of like start a new start there. And you see, there is interesting that Mars is very strongly activating another social house for you the whole January. And then towards the second part of January, this new moon in another social house. So I think that for you, Sagittarius, there will be a lot of social activities, maybe new people appearing into your life, in your everyday environment, maybe some new projects in a small group environment that you start as well. And if there was any complications and problems with others, hopefully Mars will start, you know, this starts going away. And you've taken some kind of important decisions about your relationships, and you can start on a clean slate here. And so that's about it. Maybe there will be the possibility for some travel that appears for you after the new moon, after the 21st of January, short travels of some sort that you can undertake. And actually, this energy will be active the last 10 days of January and the first 15 days of February as well. So a lot of focus here with many planets. Venus there, the Sun, Saturn is also there. I don't even have space for all the planets to put. Mercury, that will be from the second part of the month and into February, that you're very focused on communications, on short trips and travel. You get busy, your mind gets stimulated a lot more, some important connections that you make, some important transactions, interactions with others. And people that are in business, there's like a lot more meetings, reports, negotiations, conversations of any sorts, collaborations even with others. And those things become a focus, and it's quite busy time. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, 2023 January. Of course, that's your month, guys. The Sun is in your sign. The new moon already happened at the end of December. So for you, it means that you have the green light to start new beginnings. Actually, there'll be a lot of inspirations or activations that give you signs how the next 12 months will be for you. almost like sometimes downloads happen for the program for the next 12 months. New ideas can come to you. Act on them, especially the first week or two. They're very potent for that. But there is a new full moon around the 6th of January, which also accentuates your 7th house of relationships. So it's not just you starting new things. There is also your relationships focus there. The first week, the first 2-3 weeks of the month, let's say. And something important can happen. Sometimes a relationship can be taken to the next level, or just more nurturing coming to you, or some important realization you have about the relationship. And interestingly, you're making changes in your life because Mercury is retrograde in your first house the first 20 days. So Mercury is retrograde in Capricorn the first 20 days of the month. So there'll be a lot of important Mercury developments for you. And what does it mean? Like some of you might be called to do a lot of work that requires Mercury skills, which is writing, speaking, communicating, that you might be required to use your skills with extra effort, because a retrograde planet requires 3 times more effort, but can give 3 times better results. And usually Mercury will turn direct around the 19th. So you're going to start seeing the results of those extra efforts. You might be, Mercury rules your 6th house of work. So some of you might be completing some old work project as well, not just starting new beginnings, but editing, fixing, correcting something. There might be some important correspondence that you have to go back to complete. You might be arranging some documents, some papers. There is a lot of mental work that's going in the first 20 days of the month, but it's also about something that you're already familiar with and something that you've already started. Sometimes people rethink certain relationships even when Mercury is retrograde in their sign. These might be professional, personal ones. Things from the past come up to be spoken, to be communicated about. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be just you speaking about the past, reminiscing with another, meeting someone from the past you haven't met for a while, getting in touch with people from the past. But sometimes it can be more intense. Sometimes, I remember when Mercury was retrograde in my sign, I find out certain things that happened in the past from someone I worked with, and it made me reevaluate that relationship. And it was quite intense because you have to have plan B, C, you have to reorganize your whole work process. It throws you off a little bit with Mercury retrograde till the 20th. For some of you, not all of you, but there's a nice chance that some of you might just be catching up with old things they haven't done, going back to old places they haven't visited, catching up with old from people from the past, while others might have to reevaluate certain relationships, as I said. All right, but then Mercury turns direct and it becomes visible at the same time around the 18th, 19th of January. Fantastic time to bring out anything and to start any new things in mercurial things, writing, speaking, teaching, media, marketing, business, sales. Then is the time. Just wait for this Mercury to turn direct and become visible, to be very strong. Till then, research, prepare. This is the retrograde period. And then when Mercury becomes super strong, go ahead. And even in regards to your career, there can be some very positive things you do. But I forgot to say, the other important thing is that Mars is turning direct in your 6th house, which is Mercury ruled. And that's happening on the 12th of January. If some of you have been having for the last 2-3 months problems with health, for example, because 6th house is health, it might have been inflammation or something else. It might have been connected to more stress that affected your health. This will start getting resolved. It might escalate to the 12th, and after that it turns direction, and there is a change in some health issue in your case for some of you. For others, the 6th house is not necessarily as a health issue, but maybe they rethought their health routines. Maybe they did some changes, and you still have a chance till Mars is retrograde. in your sixth house to rethink, to reevaluate, that you maybe want to make some changes, like, I don't know, start exercising more or stop smoking or whatever, you know, something about your daily routines and habits and your diet as well, that Mars made you see an alternative way and made you change your mind about, so you can implement it now. Or if you've been doing the efforts already, when Mars turns direct, you're going to start seeing the positive effects of those efforts that you've made in the previous few months. And it's not going to feel like such a battle uphill, so to speak. It will become more natural. For others, this Mars in the sixth house might have brought some problems in work, maybe some power struggles with workmates, maybe some stressful situation at work, or changes that are happening at work, working on the deadline, some pressure, some mistakes that have to be corrected, some reevaluation, whether you want to stay in that job or not, taking a step back from it as well, or maybe working on a project behind the scenes that required a lot of your focused efforts and concentration. But there were also a lot of obstacles and delays while Mars was retrograde. It was like kind of testing your willpower. This is what Mars does. Well, when Mars starts turning direct from the middle of the month, you're going to start seeing the resolution of those issues. Maybe the project will start moving easier forward. Maybe the blockages will be removed. Maybe you can go back to work if you've been off of work, or maybe you can find a job that you want to work on, or if you've been working behind the scenes, you can see the results of those efforts in this project, and it's not going to be so stressful anymore. Okay, so good news. And of course, the other good news is that Mercury is turning direct in your sign around the 19th. So we talked about that already. And then the last thing is that there'll be a new moon in your second house around the 21st. It will be with Pluto, and more planets are starting to move into your second house. So after the 20th, 21st, the focus moves into consolidation. The focus moves into finances. There can be renewal of some financial opportunity for you. But sometimes it can be triggered by Pluto, because Pluto is part of this full moon. It can be triggered by some kind of crisis that you need to fix, or you need to, that pulls your attention towards the second house of finances, resources, material stability. So you'll be able also to come up with new ideas, how to make more money, for example, how to stabilize yourself financially. And that will be quite a focus the last 10 days of January and the first 15, 16 days of February as well. So there you go, Capricorn. Then we continue with Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising. Well, let's start with the new moon, a full moon. There is a full moon in our sixth house on the 6th of January. It's asking us to pay attention to our health. If you've been mistreating with habits and whatever your health, you might see the consequences of that in the first 2-3 weeks of the month. You can become more health conscious. You can intuitively find out what are the right medicines or supplements or diet for you, because the moon is very intuitive. It gives us intuitive revelations about your diet, health, routines. Also, it can indicate focus on work, that you're completing some work project and you're wrapping it up, because the full moon again makes us see the results of previous efforts. So there is focus there. Hopefully you complete it fast, because the full moon is sextile by Uranus there. And also you can have some important, and I think kind of also positive developments in regards to the sixth house, to work, to habits, to work, to health. And then the other important thing is that Mars is turning direct, guys, in your fifth house for the last November, December. So for the last 2.5 months, it's been retrograde in your fifth house sometimes, and that's my ascendant sign. So some changes might have happened, for example, in your love life, or if there were some complications there, they start getting resolved after the 12th of January. If there were some complications with your children, my children, when just they were I have to peel them off the ceiling a few times a day. They've just been so crazy with Mars retrograde in my 5th house. And they've gone through a lot of changes, just moving back, forth, a lot of exciting things, but the whole routine is off into the air. And it's been quite hands-on and intense with them. Thankfully, they've been healthy. Hopefully your kids have been healthy. When Mars in the 5th house retrograde, sometimes they can be either more difficult or going through a more difficult phase, but mine have been at each other's neck. So it will become easier. The pressure will be relieved from such things from you. Also, 5th house is creative projects. Or if you have your own business, it's your own business because you have your own ideas about your business. It's your own baby. So if there've been some delays with some creative projects, so things not moving as fast, or maybe you've put a lot of efforts, now you're going to start seeing the results. Now you're going to start seeing the rewards of that. So there'll be an unblocking of the creative juices, or being able to, to start moving forward. And again, as I said, 5th house is also having more fun. So maybe Mars made you rethink their retrograde in your 5th house about your methods and how you enjoy yourself and hobbies, creative things. For example, I went back, Mars retrograde, I went back to a few old hobbies that I haven't done for a while. I started knitting again. I started bicycling. We started skiing and such things that I haven't done for a while. Well, when now Mars starts turning direct, you can integrate more and more newer hobbies and ways of having fun. And hopefully, if you rethought what is a healthier and more balanced way to be enjoying yourself, you're going to apply this now. 5th house is also, so I think mostly, until April, Mars will be helping you a lot because Mars will be moving direct from your 5th house. So it'll put you a lot of energy into being creative, having more fun, being more joyful, being more self-assertive as well, initiating ideas that are your own and moving forward with your own projects. Okay, so that's one good news. And of course, Mars rules your 10th house of career as well, so that if there are some blockages or delays there, they start getting solved when it starts moving forward. Then the other big news is that Mercury will be also turning direct in your 12th house. The first 18 days, it's retrograde in your 12th house. Actually, the first 18 days of the month, you might feel a little bit more lazy because a lot of planets are in your 12th house. The Sun, Mercury, Pluto, Venus at some time. But so it's okay if you give yourself more break the first 20 days. It's okay if you sleep more. If it's okay, maybe go on a holiday or take a break, or I don't know, take some trips far away if you can, or into your own world. This is the house of relaxation and retreating from the world a little bit. Maybe revising things from the past. Mercury is retrograde there. Maybe some catching up on some more private communications with Mercury retrograde there. And of course, Mercury retrograde there and all those planets can give a bit more expenses than normal. But when Mercury starts turning direct there, it should start fixing all of those things. And after the 20th, you're going to start coming into a lot more energy. You're going to start coming into a lot more feeling like yourself, feeling lighter, inspired, because the sun enters your sign. There is a new moon that's happening here. But till the 20th, just be more careful with Mercury. Because what is Mercury? Till the 20th, Mercury in the 12th house, they can be misplaced correspondence, emails, informations, broken phones or laptops. Like, don't, maybe you can fix out such ones, but don't buy new such ones till the 18th. And then Mercury becomes visible and starts moving direct after the 18th, 19th. All of those things you can do. But there can be some miscommunications with this retrograde Mercury in the 12th house. Some kind of hearsays, gossips that's going around. He said, she said. some misplaced. So that's, and that you have to be careful more with what you say, that it's not misunderstood, that it's not twisted in some way, and that you check your facts when you're getting them, so you don't, because something can be lost in translation there. Yes. So, but then after that, everything starts going well. So any kind of business, work, mercurial process of work, of communications, they all straighten out. Anything lost mail or any kind of delays with mercurial jobs or confusions, which is about arranging papers, documents, communication, and so on, gets solved out. Media, whatever. And then on the 21st, we're going to have a new moon in your sign. And that's especially the very early born Aquarians, the first 5-10 degrees. So these are the January born Aquarians, will feel it very strongly. Some powerful renewal in their life, and it's very close to Pluto. This new moon is very much about, first of all, you come into your power. It's with Pluto, it can empower you, about new beginnings. So after the 21st, a lot of you will start coming up with ideas, with more energy. Mars is already helping you in another self house, energetically moving forward. So empowerment, that's how I see it. Like, you feeling more like yourself. These are self houses of strength, of willpower, having more willpower, having more drive, having more initiative after the 21st onwards. Of course, because Pluto is very close, it can be triggered by some crisis of self-image or crisis that you decide to undertake some new beginning in your life, to start some new project that you're pushing to, but the results will be quite positive because Jupiter is making sextile to those degrees. So whatever new beginnings come after the 21st, they are for good, they're transformational, they're fated, they'll have lasting results. And there'll be a lot of help also from Mars trining. So till then, take it a bit more easy if you can. Jupiter continues to be in your 3rd house, but I know that you're definitely going to come back into more health and into more strength after the 20th onwards. All right, and last but not least, Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Let's see, Pisces, the new year starts with a full moon in your 5th house. The first 2-3 weeks, you can have a bit more fun with this 5th house activation. You can definitely feel more intuitive because the moon in full moon in Cancer, it's another water sign. Emotionally, you can feel like you're flowing more. So around the 6th, 7th, around the full moon, maybe go to a party or maybe do something creative as well. This full moon can help you. It's even a good time to have fun in some sort, to do something enjoyable, to do something that feels like that you're playing like a child, that connects you with the flow of life. Some creative idea you can complete and see the results of it, or some other project that is your own baby, that is your own idea, you can see the resolution of, you can see the completion of. Then, of course, Mercury will be retrograde the first 20 days in Capricorn. So you might be getting in touch with old friends you haven't seen for a while. You might this is social environment. Mercury retrograde there can make you decide to change your social environment. You see from a different perspective the people in your life. Maybe you decide to clear up your social profile, delete some accounts, or get in touch with people you haven't been for a while, or sometimes it can escalate a relationship with a friend that you have to rethink, or say some important things that haven't been said from the past, and hopefully rebalance the relationship or friendship or remove it. On another level, the 11th house is gainfulness. So you can be working on some business project, editing it, fixing it when Mercury is retrograde in your 11th house, putting some final touches to it, and completing it, yes. And then Mercury turns direct around the 19th, 18th, 19th of January. So you can bring out this project to the public. You can reach out for new audience, for new clients, bring out a business project of any sorts, or connect with people. new people. Till then, you might connect with people from the past. And anything Mercurial will start going really well for you, because especially since it's in a business house as well, the 11th house and social house of connections. But I think you'll have like a kind of a social month overall. But the other big event that is happening is that Mars is turning direct on the 12th. Mars has been retrograde in your 4th house since the end of October, and that's kind of a bit of stressful place for Mars because it's also aspecting the 7th house. So if you've been having some problems in your personal life with family, if there's been some stressful situation with parents or you as a parent in parenthood, if you felt more challenged with too many responsibilities or stresses, or maybe there were some changes that you did to your house or property, or you've been trying to change or move or relocate or sell property or buy property, when Mars, and these things have been stressing you out, but when Mars starts moving direct from the middle of the month onwards, all those complications will be solved. So say maybe your parents were sick, they can get better, or maybe you've been fighting with your spouse or family, or maybe you've been under a lot of pressure to finish a house or repairs or something like that. When Mars turns direct, everything starts going according to plan, things come back to normal. And especially if you've been very emotionally reactive, because Mars is in the 4th house of emotions, you start noticing that you're improving. You start noticing that your mood is becoming more settled rather than explosive, and that whatever internal pressures were on you, especially from family and close people, they will start getting resolved. Or if there were some damages at the home or leaks or breaks or whatever, these things that might have been stressing, they again get resolved. And then we have the new moon in your 12th house after the 21st. And a lot of planets are starting to move into your 12th house after the 21st. So the last 10 days of the month, guys, it is time to take it easy, to take a break, to reminisce about the past, because soon after that, from the middle of February, comes a new Pisces cycle. So you need to recharge your battery before that. You need to do reevaluation of the past. That's why people tend to retreat when planets go into their 12th house. Maybe go on a holiday the last 10 days of January and into February. Maybe sleep more or spend more time alone. Maybe you feel called to do that. Maybe you feel like you don't want to be out and about all the time in the public eye. You're kind of incubating, hibernating a little bit to come back with charged up energy again from the second part of February. And yeah, sometimes people, when so many planets go into the 12th house, they can feel a little bit like endings, like they want to end certain things. And you can become very clear with this new moon what it is you want to get rid of your life from the end of January. And you can also, it's easier to let go of things that are no longer serving you. So maybe for some of you, this new moon will help exactly with that. So thank you so much, all of you. You can get my yearly 2023 horoscopes at the link below. For each sign, I do 2.5, almost 3-hour videos for the year, and also my 2023 calendar that I showed at the beginning. Happy New Year.